Remember my last episode where I said I had my opinion on the sport? Yeah, today we're going to discuss said opinion. Hop in, buckle up, and get ready to lay it on the line. This is Not Speeding, Just Qualifying, a podcast that's just as fast as it sounds. What's up, family? I'm David Lawrence, and welcome to the Not Speeding, Just Qualifying podcast. I appreciate you for joining me today. Before I get started, make sure your qualifying setup is dialed in and ready to go for pole. Go to YouTube or the podcast section of the YouTube Music app and search Not Speeding, Just Qualifying to subscribe to us today. I have had a long week and some change to digest and really collect my thoughts on the championship race. I will discuss some of these talking points during this episode, but as we're going into the 2025-2026 off-season for NASCAR, and most motorsports for that matter, we got quite a few months to sit and really let our imaginations run wild. So today, with the NASCAR season recently in our rearview mirror, and fans vocal about how they want the sport run, allow me to voice my opinion. Today, I present to you my top 7 changes I would make if I was in charge of NASCAR. Counting down my ranking of changes from 7 to 1, we kick off with an experiment. At number 7, I would implement timed races on road courses. Yes, I'm going to kick my list off by stirring things up quite a bit. To shake things up, as NASCAR is becoming more of a TV sport, unfortunately, I do feel this move makes more sense. Let's have the road courses run, say, 2 hours, 30 minutes. When the 2 hours, 30 minutes are up, give the field 2 more laps. A fear I have is that road courses with set distances with yellows can go a little long. I know, a little ironic from what we've seen the last couple years, but giving road and street courses have time distance, that should make the crew chiefs lose their minds, because the old strategies of working the race from the checker flag to green, throw it out the window. But that's not the only race I want to change, or races for that matter. Moving forward to number 6, I want to shorten the Bristol Spring Race. A couple years ago, this would have been remove the Bristol Spring Race. I was convinced the fans would not return after the novelty of the Bristol Dirt Race, which I personally enjoyed. But the race has gained momentum in the last couple years, so I suppose I'll let the race stick around. But with that being said, I want to adopt what was done at Martinsville a couple years ago and shorten the spring race to just 400 laps. Shortened races at short tracks, they do tend to bring more action, and I'm going to bet on this being the case again here at Bristol. I also think this will make the race unique and give it 2 races that'll be worth the ticket price. A shorter day race in the spring? I don't think anybody will disagree, right? But my next suggestion could see Bristol gone altogether. Change number 5. Shorten the schedule. I'm probably in the minority here, but I still believe the season is entirely too long. I would like to see the season shortened to 30, at the most 32 points-paying races a year. And by the way, no, I'm not getting rid of the Clash or the All-Star race. I know some fans would like those removed, but frankly, I don't mind keeping those around. I know some tracks have 2 dates for financial reasons, but I think there are too many tracks hosting 2 races even now. And honestly, when a track has 2 races a year, even in the changing of seasons, it just takes predictability out the window. Outside of Daytona, Talladega, and Atlanta, with those being 3 super speedway style tracks, there's very little case for a track to be on the schedule twice per year. I would even go as far to rotating venues. 2 other reasons I support a shorter schedule? Number one, it'd be a money saver for teams in the sport. We all know how tight money is nowadays. Just look at that court case between NASCAR and 2011 in Front Row if you need any more proof. The second reason, whether you're in the sport or not, going for 28 consecutive weeks should not be the norm. Shortening the schedule would give at least 4 to 6 more weeks of off time for the teams and the drivers. And for a professional sport that goes from February all the way to November, that's a lot of time to be away from home. So even if this sport is as long as it is, we should not make it the norm. We should allow the teams and drivers, the media members, everyone that's involved in NASCAR to kick up their legs just a little bit more. Give them some more off time. The change I will place at number 4 on my list, let's remove these stage break cautions. With all due respect to Steve Letarte and Larry McReynolds, stage breaks, in my humble opinion, just don't add strategy to the races. In fact, I will argue with stage breaks, it makes the races that more predictable. If you keep the stages and remove the yellows, it will bring back the natural flow of a race. And it will also enforce how pointless the yellows would be for strategy. Again, let me reiterate, I am all for keeping stages and stage points. I want to see crew chiefs deal with the natural flow of a race with stage points in mind. How would crew chiefs strategize around the stages? Do you stay on track, go for the points, or do you let the stage points go and set yourself up for later on in the race? I don't know about you, but it sounds like a fun proposition to me. Get rid of the cautions, let the crew chiefs really strategize here. Speaking of stages, I would like to piggyback and transition to the number 3 thing I would change. I want to bring back bonus points. Again, keep the stage points. I want them to stick around. I like how they have made the racing more lively. In addition to stage points, let's make it wanting to chase points in races again. For NASCAR fans that were around during the days of the lap per point system, there were 5 points for leading a lap and an additional 5 points for leading the most laps. I would bring those back, but with a little twist. In keeping with the much lower point scale that we have now, I would award 1 point for leading a lap with an additional 3 points for leading the most laps. Thanks to Xfinity sponsorship, NASCAR began awarding a point for the driver with the fastest lap in 2025. I would keep fastest lap, bring back leading a lap, and leading the most laps, but I wouldn't stop there. Let's make qualifying count again. Since we don't use pole qualifying to gain admission into the preseason clash anymore, I'm in favor of awarding 2 championship points to the pole sitter. Some would say it may cause oversaturation, overstimulation, granted, but from my standpoint, it gives incentive to make every on-track session count and for the drivers to go all out every session. Plus, if you got a couple of bonus points and you lose a championship by 1, how do you think a driver's going to feel if they say, man, I wish I gave it my all on Saturday running for pole? Just something to think about. Now let's switch from on track to off with my number 2 change. Let's bring back advertising outside of NASCAR windows. I would be banging on everybody's door. Networks, streamers, major sponsors, other sports leagues, NFL, Roger Goodell, Adam Silver, yes. I would be doing my best Fry from Futurama impression, take my money, and you know they would. As one of NASCAR's media partners, NBC has Super Bowl 60 in February. I would be doing the same thing IndyCar did with Fox in last year's Super Bowl to quite encouraging results. I would be promoting drivers, the sport, the sponsors, the tracks. Everyone that invests in the sport, I would put them out on Front Street. I would do as much as my power to recreate the 90s marketing machine that drove NASCAR to its highest heights, that would have tens of millions of people watching the Daytona 500 after the Super Bowl in February. Now, granted, one aspect of that marketing machine was the use of print media, and we know print is dying. But social media as essentially our replacement for print, if you look at it that way. With that being said, crank out the ads. I'm gonna limit the AI use because I love the human touch, and human touch in 2025, 2026 still means something. My goal is simple. Get NASCAR in front of many eyes as possible. Go to CBS, go to Fox. Primetime TV still is watchable. Even though sports is probably the main kid and caboodle, programming is programming. Whatever you can do, get NASCAR in front of eyeballs. And NASCAR is in heavy need of it right now to get back in line with where the sport was at its height in the late 90s and early 2000s. And speaking of going back in time, this brings me to my number one change if I was in charge of NASCAR. Please, please, please. I'm going back to the full season point system. The 2025 NASCAR Championship weekend basically showed us everything that was wrong with this current format. The Cup Series Championship itself was the doomsday scenario we all dread would come. We had an element of the race beyond human control that determined the race, while resulting in another scenario that made fans cringe. The championship determined by a green-white checkered overtime finish. Yes, as deserving as Kyle Larson was as a champion. And remember, you're talking to the guy that predicted Larson would win the whole thing in February. The mood around the sport after watching Denny Hamlin dominate that race with a sickening crack leading 260 laps, only to lose the championship to a driver that did not lead all day and won half the races Hamlin won over the course of 2025, just did not sit well with anyone. Sunday was the cherry on top of a weekend NASCAR just didn't need for marking the one race knockout championship format that we've had over the last 12 years. Saturday was just as big a gut punch to Connor Zilisch, who won 10 races and was as consistent as anybody with over 20 top 5 finishes, but fell short of a championship in a format that was badged to reward winning. Connor, even missing a race, would have won the championship on full season points. So for everyone that says Connor isn't the only 10-win driver to lose a championship, please save me the argument. None of those examples were as consistent as Connor's 2025, and for Connor to only have a Rookie of the Year to show for what was an otherworldly season is a crime. And Friday night almost followed that script. Crew Chief Scott Cipodelli took a chance with 4 tires on the final pit stop, while others around them took 2, putting his driver Corey Heim mid-pack for a restart in the first overtime. Heim had the balls to go into turn 1, 7 wide on the restart, went from 10th to 2nd, and fortunately the yellow fell to give him a second overtime that would see him overtake reigning champion Ty Majeski to deny Majeski back-to-back crowns and validate Heim's amazing 2025 season with his 12th win in a record-setting campaign. But here's the kicker. Heim has been the most dominant driver over the last 3 seasons of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, and for this to be his first title, just shows you how messed up this format is. And if you need any more proof, the last 2 years prior to Heim's big arrival, 2021 and 2022 saw John Hunter Nemechek be the fastest driver in the Truck Series, but neither season Nemechek had a championship to show for his efforts. Absolutely unspeakable. Zooming out, this elimination format was faulty from its inception in 2014. When we almost got a winless champion at Ryan Newman in year one of this format, the alarm bell should have went off then. Instead, the following year, Kyle Busch earned his first championship after missing 11 races and became eligible for the playoffs through a medical waiver. Pick your moment. We all can find a year that validates our reason not to like this elimination one race final playoff format. Boy, oh boy. Call me old school, but the most fair way is a full season points format. Keep the stage points. Add my suggestion of returning the bonus points, adding more, add extra points for winners if we want to make winning so valuable. We're making wins matter, but ensuring consistency is always rewarded. The best man over the course of the season, and not just between September and October, shall be crowned the season champion. And with the cars being as level and unequal on performance as they have ever been, you can make the case a full season championship would be as tight as ever. And it would be more organic. And for those of y'all that say, David, a full season points format in this era just won't do, I'll offer a compromise. We can return to the original 10-race chase that lasted from 2004 to 2013. Granted, I'm not the biggest fan of that format, and if you're not a Jimmy Johnson fan, you're not fond of the format either. Let's keep it 100. But if you must have a format that will still bring attention to the sport at season's end, I prefer this one. Give me Chase Briscoe's consistency during the 2025 playoffs in the Chase format, and the Indiana native would have been walking away from Phoenix with the Bill France Cup. At least NASCAR is rotating the championship race in future seasons going forward, and even that I would have a caveat on. Make sure whoever hosts the championship race doesn't have a race anywhere else in the season. I just think it makes the championship race all that more interesting and exciting for us fans. We love unpredictability. We love making sure that the competition is as fierce as it can be. Don't give anybody any advantages. Let's make this fun for all. Alright guys, this concludes my list of things I would change if I was in charge of NASCAR. So now I want to hear from you. What do you think? What would you change if you were in charge? Drop a comment on this episode or drop a comment on any of our socials and let us know what you would do. Who knows? If I get enough changes, I probably will make an episode out of it. Alright family, that's our episode for today. Thanks for tuning in. Are you listening and have a topic or series you want us to cover on the show? Drop a comment on any of our episodes and let us know. You can also reach out by email at dalmotorsports@gmail.com. The email address again, dalmotorsports@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you guys. We also would love for you to connect with us on social media. Blue Sky, X, Instagram, TikTok, and now on Threads, all at the same handle at NSJQ Podcast. Subscribe to our show so you don't miss whenever we drop new content for the pod. Also, like and share our stuff on our socials. The more you like and share, the more of these websites, they'll start recommending our content to others. And lastly, if you want to follow me on my personal social media handles, links will be in the description box to this episode. I'll talk to you all next time for another episode of the Not Speeding, Just Qualifying podcast. Until then, I'm David Lawrence. Always remember, you're not living life to the fullest until you're going flat out. So long, everybody.